Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. We're not just shaking off those post-summer blues today. No, we're plunging headfirst into a Grand Prix that left many fans reeling, others cheering unexpectedly, and pretty much everyone questioning the very rulebook of Formula One. This isn't just a recap. It's more an exploration of the unseen currents that are fundamentally reshaping the championship battle, pitting teammates against each other, and challenging our perception of fairness.
Absolutely.
We're pulling insights directly from a detailed analysis found on F1 blogs, and we're really glad you've joined us here on the F1 blogs YouTube channel.
Indeed. Today, we're dissecting that recent F1 race, pulling insights directly from that really thorough analysis you mentioned. We're going to unpack everything from championship hoax potentially slipping away in the most dramatic fashion, to surprising podium finishes that brought, tears to drivers' eyes, and some seriously contentious decisions by the race stewards that had everyone scratching their heads.
Definitely those.
Our mission today is to give you a comprehensive understanding of not just what happened, but why it matters, what it tells us about the rest of the season, and, how these moments are shaping the very fabric of Formula One.
So buckle up. We've got a lot to get through exploring these stories with the depth they deserve, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single turn in this unfolding drama. Okay, let's unpack this overwhelming feeling many F1 fans are experiencing. Our source talks about a tremendous blow and a post-holiday syndrome hitting hard after the last race. What exactly caused this widespread feeling of disappointment, especially concerning the championship fight, and specifically the story around Lando Norris? It sounds like the kind of gut punch that takes days to recover from, even as a spectator.
That tremendous blow sentiment among fans, particularly concerning Lando Norris, it really captures the emotional weight and, the swift shifts that define this sport. Lando was widely seen as a strong, even ascendant contender, right? A driver with immense potential finally finding his stride in a competitive car. Then suddenly, during this recent Grand Prix, a critical reliability issue struck. An oil leak caused his unfortunate abandonment from the race. This wasn't just a single incident. It marked his second 0 points finish of the season.
Ouch.
Yeah. Think about that in the context of a championship. In a sport where every single point is meticulously fought for, where fractions of seconds separate triumph from despair, two races yielding absolutely nothing can feel like a devastating setback.
Totally.
For a driver aspiring to a title, it's not just a mathematical hit, but a profound psychological blow that can derail momentum and expectations, both for Norris himself and for the dedicated fan base that has been eagerly following his journey. It's a harsh reminder that in F1, the most advanced machinery can be undone by the smallest component.
And it wasn't just the reliability issue, was it? The drama deepened with a rather controversial post-race remark from Norris himself. He actually stated quite pointedly that he would never have won this race anyway. That's a pretty striking, almost deflating comment for a driver in a championship battle, even if it might reflect a private thought.
It really is.
What does that tell us about the psychological impact on a driver in such a high-pressure environment, and how might such a statement be perceived by fans or, his team? It almost sounds like a concession before the fight is truly over, which feels like a dangerous mindset.
Well, that statement, I would never have won this race anyway, it really cuts to the core of an F1 driver's mental game, doesn't it? Especially when they're in the thick of a championship fight. On one hand, yes, it could be a brutally honest self-assessment, a pragmatic acceptance of the car's limitations, or maybe his own performance on that specific day, even before the mechanical failure forced him out.
Right, just raw honesty.
Exactly. It's an honest, if perhaps blunt, reflection.
That's such a fascinating tightrope walk, isn't it? On one hand, you want that honesty, that raw self-awareness, but on the other, Formula One demands an almost, irrational self-belief, that absolute conviction you can win no matter what. Do you think that kind of comment, even if it's a private thought made public, can really start to erode a team's confidence in a driver, especially when they're in the midst of a championship fight? It almost feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy if he starts to believe it too deeply.
Absolutely, it can. And that's the danger. It's not just about the external perception, it's about the internal feedback loop. If the driver himself is voicing these doubts, even in a moment of frustration, it can permeate the garage. Teams look for that relentless drive, that belief against all odds, that internal fire.
Yeah, that champion's mentality.
Precisely. For the fans who invest so much emotion in their heroes, it can feel like a premature surrender, deflating the very championship narrative we all want to believe in. It might even make them question if Norris possesses that unshakable, almost delusional self-belief that defines a true champion, that belief that even on a bad day, with a compromised car, you can still pull a rabbit out of the hat. From a team perspective, while they might understand the raw frustration, public statements like that can be incredibly challenging. They want their drivers to project unwavering confidence, a never-say-die attitude. It can subtly impact team morale, how sponsors view the driver, and even the internal dynamic.
You think back to other sports figures.
Exactly. Think back to any historical sporting figure who seemed to lose that internal belief. Often, the performance follows. And when you compare it to a teammate who is consistently performing, like Piastri, it highlights a mental differential that becomes a critical factor in a championship campaign, potentially exacerbating the tremendous blow further.
Meanwhile, his teammate, Oscar Piastri, seems to be on an entirely different trajectory, almost like he's been quietly setting the stage for a spectacular show, allowing the drama to unfold around him while he executes his plan.
Yeah.
Our source details how he was hiding his cards during practice, and then almost out of nowhere, bam, in front for qualifying.
Yeah, that was something.
It sounds like a masterful display of strategic brilliance and controlled aggression from the young Australian.
Indeed, it was a truly standout performance. Oscar Piastri's commanding display, right from how he strategically held back during practice sessions, is a profound testament to his maturity and intelligence as a driver. It's a classic poker player move, isn't it?
Totally.
Concealing your true pace and intentions until the crucial moment, not showing your hand too early. This isn't just about saving tires, it's a psychological tactic, keeping competitors guessing. Then, in qualifying, he unleashed his true speed, bursting forward to secure pole position by a minuscule 12 thousandths of a second.
12 thousandths.
I know, that margin, barely the blink of an eye, underscores the absolute precision and raw speed he found when it truly mattered, pulling out that extra tenth when the pressure was at its peak.
And it wasn't just a flash in qualifying, was it? Our source highlights his race strategy as equally impressive, noting he was playing with Norris, accelerating when challenged. What does that mean for his racecraft, and what do terms like solvency and solidity really convey about his performance?
Precisely. His race strategy demonstrated a remarkable level of strategic thinking. Playing with Norris, for example, means he wasn't just driving flat out, he was managing the race and his immediate competitor. He'd let Norris close slightly, then maybe accelerate just enough to extend the gap again.
Controlling the gap.
Exactly. This isn't just about raw speed. It's a controlled form of racing that puts pressure on the chasing car, forces them to use more of their tires or fuel, and ultimately breaks their rhythm. This requires incredible tire management, an understanding of the car's limits, and a cool head under pressure.
Right.
The source uses terms like solvency and solidity, and these are crucial. Solvency in this context refers to his ability to manage all aspects of the race, to have enough in reserve tire life, fuel, raw pace to respond to any challenge. Solidity speaks to his consistent control, his uncanny ability to avoid mistakes, to keep the car on the track and within its performance window, even when under direct threat.
So reliable.
It's about being consistently strong, reliable, and error-free, which for a young driver is exceptionally rare.
And it's not just a one-off performance, is it? Piastri has built an unbroken streak, completing and scoring points in every single race this year. That's a streak matching Max Verstappen's, and even approaching Lewis Hamilton's historical record for consistency.
It's astonishing, really.
What does this kind of unwavering consistency mean for a young driver, especially one in his position, challenging for a championship? It really redefines expectations, doesn't it?
Absolutely. This kind of unbroken streak, completing and scoring points in every race this year, is exceptional. It's a seismic shift in how we perceive Oscar Piastri. For a driver in his early F1 career, matching a streak of points finishes with a four-time world champion like Max Verstappen, and even nearing Lewis Hamilton's legendary consistency isn't just impressive, it's a profound statement about his underlying talent and temperament. The core insight here is that Piastri isn't merely fast. He's demonstrating a level of solidity and strategic intelligence that's rarely seen in someone so young in the sport.
So, he's not just a flash of brilliance. He's a consistent, dependable force. What does that mean for how teams and the wider F1 paddock start to view him beyond just his raw speed?
Precisely. This redefines expectations not just for him, but potentially for what a rookie or sophomore season can achieve. It tells team principals that he's a safe pair of hands, someone who won't just win you races, but will consistently bring home points, which is the bedrock of any championship campaign.
Crucial for the constructors, too.
Absolutely. This kind of unwavering consistency builds immense trust, not just with the engineers who know he'll execute their setups, but also within the strategic team, allowing them to take more calculated risks because they know he'll deliver. This level of reliability and composure, race after race, can be a far more formidable championship weapon than pure unadulterated speed alone, particularly against a teammate who, as we've discussed, is battling reliability issues and perhaps some, mental demons after that last outing.
Right.
It positions him as not just a contender, but potentially the most reliable contender in the field.
This all leads us to the heart of the championship debate. The gap between Piastri and Norris has now widened significantly, with Piastri holding a 34-point advantage. Our source described the situation as quite complicated for Norris, especially after starting the Grand Prix only 9 points behind. That's a dramatic swing.
This is where the narrative truly shifts, and that tremendous blow becomes far more tangible for Norris. A 34-point gap in Formula One is substantial, especially at this stage of the season. To put it in context, Piastri can now afford a 0 points finish, a retirement, or a non-scoring race and still be ahead of Norris.
Oh, that's a buffer.
It is. Conversely, another 0 for Norris, following his previous one and this recent reliability issue, would be described by our source as potentially the end of it all.
Harsh, but maybe realistic.
It would mean a near insurmountable deficit, making a championship challenge incredibly difficult in the remaining races. While it wouldn't be mathematically impossible, it would require an almost miraculous run of form for Norris and significant misfortune for Piastri. This is the stark reality of how quickly fortunes can change in a season and how vital every single point is.
And what about the broader context for McLaren? Our source talks about the exciting prospect of a McLaren driver winning the championship for the first time since 2008, but now it's an internal struggle. It's a fantastic problem to have for the team, but for the drivers, it feels like an incredibly high-stakes, almost brutal internal competition.
Indeed. The McLaren 2008 parallel is incredibly poignant. That was a truly iconic season for them, with Hamilton, right? And for the team to be in a position to win a driver's championship again, especially with their resurgence in recent seasons, is a massive achievement and a testament to their hard work. However, the internal struggle makes it a double-edged sword. While the team celebrates having two competitive drivers capable of fighting for the title, it creates intense pressure and a unique dynamic between the teammates. It's a battle that plays out on track in the minds of the drivers, the team strategists, and of course among the fans, who are often split in their loyalties.
You see it online all the time.
Oh yeah. It can elevate both drivers, pushing them to new heights, but also create immense tension.
Adding to this, our source speculates about 2026 rule changes potentially ending McLaren's current dominance, or at least resetting the competitive order significantly. This isn't just about this season anymore, is it? This future uncertainty raises the stakes dramatically for Norris, suggesting this might be his great opportunity slipping away, particularly painful when losing to a teammate in the same machinery.
Yeah, that 2026 factor looms large.
What does this kind of future uncertainty mean for a driver's long-term career trajectory, especially when facing an internal rival who is seemingly hitting every mark?
This is a truly critical point that extends far beyond the immediate race results and touches on the strategic long game of F1. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the speculation about the 2026 rule changes potentially resetting the competitive order puts an enormous amount of pressure on the current season. Major regulation changes are like a lottery. Some teams get it right, others fall behind, and the pecking order can be completely reshuffled.
Total reset potentially.
Exactly. For Norris, if this truly is McLaren's peak before such a major overhaul, then this is his great opportunity. To be in a championship contending car and then to see that opportunity slip away, especially to a teammate who is also a rising star, could have profound implications for his long-term career trajectory. It's not just about the immediate pain of potentially losing a championship. It's about the psychological blow of being beaten by the person in the exact same machinery and the deeply unsettling uncertainty of when or if such a golden chance might arise again. It forces a driver to not only evaluate their performance, but also to grapple with fundamental questions about their future options in the driver market and how their perceived mental strength compares to their rivals.
Even with the McLaren drama dominating the headlines, our source points to another driver who injected some much-needed salsa into the race, Max Verstappen. He's described as having a malignant intention before the race even began.
Ah, I love that description.
That's a wonderfully evocative phrase, that a mischievous glint in the eye, that knowledge that he's got something truly unconventional, perhaps even a bit cheeky, up his sleeve.
What's fascinating here is how Verstappen consistently finds ways to be the protagonist, to disrupt the narrative, even when he's not ultimately fighting for the win. His malignant intention speaks volumes about his strategic genius and his fearless willingness to take calculated risks. He'd saved a new soft tire specifically for the race start, which allowed him to begin on the soft compound, a move described by our source as suicidal or a short-term gamble by conventional wisdom.
Risky stuff.
Yeah, most drivers would opt for a more conservative medium compound to ensure greater longevity through the first stint. But Verstappen, with perhaps less to lose in the championship fight, chose the aggressive, immediate grip of the softs to gain track position from the outset.
So he went for an immediate impact, regardless of the long-term tire wear. What kind of disruption did that create?
Exactly. His immediate impact was undeniable. He wasted no time, quickly overtaking Norris early on and interposing himself between the two McLarens. This wasn't just about gaining positions, it was a deliberate move to disrupt McLaren's rhythm, to create strategic headaches for them right from the start of the race, forcing them to think about an unexpected third car in their internal battle.
Stirring the pot.
Definitely. Later in the race, he again used a tactic that our source highlighted. Under a safety car, he had an old soft tire fitted. On the restart, he used that tire to aggressively scare Piastri. He knew he likely couldn't win the race outright, but he could create immense pressure, force Piastri to defend hard, perhaps compromise his tires or make a mistake, and critically inject that salsa into the race, making it far more exciting for everyone watching.
I love it.
It's a testament to his racecraft that he can still be such a pivotal, disruptive force even when not in contention for the very top step.
But perhaps the most heartwarming story came from an unexpected quarter. Isaac Hadar, who secured a podium finish for Team RB. This wasn't just a good race. This was a defining moment for a young driver, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Isaac Hadar's surprise podium was undoubtedly one of the most heartwarming and memorable moments of the race. He already achieved his best ever qualifying performance, starting in impressive fourth place, which in itself was a significant step.
Great quality.
But to convert that into a solid, fast race performance, maintaining composure and pace, and then benefiting from Norris's unfortunate abandonment to secure a podium spot, shows true grit and exceptional skill under pressure. The source captures his emotional journey beautifully, stating he went from crying in Australia, likely recalling earlier disappointments or struggles,
Yeah, it must have been tough.
to laughing in Rio.
Yeah.
This symbolizes a profound growth arc for a young driver, showcasing not just his talent, but his resilience and the ability to convert raw potential into tangible, career-defining results.
And for RB, too.
Exactly. For Team RB, a relatively modest team compared to the giants of F1, to also find themselves on the podium this season is a huge validation of their ongoing efforts, strategic development, and their investment in promising talent like Hadar.
Yeah.
It's a clear signal that they are building something special.
And then the inevitable, the broken trophy. Our source even compares it to Lando Norris's famous trophy mishaps. It seems some things are just meant to be broken in the heat of celebration, or perhaps poor design choices.
Indeed, it's almost a running gag, isn't it? The broken trophy, accidentally, by Hadar echoed Norris's past incidents where a trophy met an untimely end. Our source actually attributes this specific break to poor design rather than excessive force, noting Hadar opposed it gently, but the base still gave way.
Oh, really? Not his fault, then?
Apparently not entirely. But what's truly poignant about this detail and why it resonated so much is the perspective offered. Good news to break a trophy because it means you have one.
Huh. That's a great line.
It emphasizes the sheer achievement. Many drivers spend entire careers in Formula One and never get to experience holding a podium trophy, let alone accidentally breaking one. It's a small, very human, almost comical moment that beautifully underscores the immense significance of reaching the podium for Hadar and his entire team. It's a reminder of the joy and sometimes the clumsiness that comes with such an intense peak of emotion.
This success naturally raises an important question about driver progression. Our source speculates about Hadar's future, linking him to a potential Red Bull seat in 2026. But why isn't he being moved immediately if he's showing such promise? What's the importance of letting him shine where he is right now rather than fast-tracking him to a top team?
This highlights the incredibly careful balancing act teams play with promising young talent in Formula One. The source is clear that while Hadar is indeed linked to a potential Red Bull move in 2026, the team isn't rushing him for the immediate future. The primary reason, as our source points out, is the significant risk of burning him out.
Ah, the pressure cooker.
Exactly. Moving a young driver to a top-tier championship contending team too soon, before they've fully developed or gained consistent high-level experience, can be detrimental to their long-term career. The pressure is immense. Increased media scrutiny, the weight of a team's championship aspirations, the expectation to perform at the absolute elite level from day one.
Yeah, it can break them.
This overwhelming environment can shatter a young driver's confidence, expose their weaknesses too early, and ultimately lead to them being burnt out before they've had a chance to fully mature and refine their skills.
So it's about nurturing talent rather than just exploiting it.
Precisely. It's often strategically better to let them shine where they are in an environment like Team RB, where they can continue to grow, build confidence, and consistently deliver strong results without the immediate crushing weight of a championship contending team on their shoulders.
Makes sense.
RB is providing him with exactly that platform, a competitive but less intensely scrutinized environment, allowing him to mature, hone his racecraft, and develop the mental fortitude required, so that if and when he does make the leap to a team like Red Bull, he's fully prepared, not just in terms of speed, but also psychologically, to meet the unparalleled demands of Formula One's elite tier. It's an investment in a sustainable, long-term career for the driver.
Moving on to other gladiators on the track, our source describes George Russell as the invisible man during the race, yet he still managed to finish fourth. How does a driver become invisible, yet consistently score significant points, and what allowed him to do that despite not being at the forefront of the dramatic narrative? It's almost like he's a silent assassin, just racking up those crucial points without all the fanfare.
It's a testament to Russell's quiet efficiency, his exceptional racecraft, and his ability to maximize every opportunity. The description of him as the invisible man is quite accurate. He's not always in the headlines for overtakes or dramatic wheel-to-wheel battles that capture the most attention. However, he consistently delivers results.
It's the job done.
Exactly. He managed to finish fourth despite sustaining damage to his car from an earlier contact with Charles Leclerc. This further highlights his remarkable skill in managing difficult situations, nursing a compromised car to a strong finish, and maintaining pace when many others might drop back.
Impressive.
What's truly remarkable is his consistency. He continues to score significant points for Mercedes, and as our source points out, he consistently outperforms his teammate in qualifying, proving his raw speed and ability to extract the maximum from the car on a single lap are absolutely there. This ability to navigate turbulent races, keep the car on track, avoid further incidents, and maximize the points potential, even when the car might not be the fastest on the grid, is what makes him such a valuable asset to Mercedes. He's the very definition of a consistent, high-performing driver, even when he flies under the radar.
And this kind of consistency, especially outqualifying his teammate, must solidify his position within Mercedes, particularly with recent news about their driver lineup for next season.
Absolutely. The reported confirmation from Toto Wolff regarding Mercedes' 2025 lineup pairing Russell with Antonelli is a significant validation of Russell's value to the team. Despite the challenges Mercedes has faced in recent seasons with their car's performance, Russell has maintained an incredibly high level of performance and consistency.
He's been solid.
Very. This announcement solidifies his long-term future with one of the sport's most prestigious teams, confirming that they view him as a foundational piece for their future success and a critical part of their rebuild. It gives him security, confidence, and allows him to focus fully on extracting the maximum from his car, knowing his place is secure for the foreseeable future.
In stark contrast to Russell's quiet effectiveness, it was another horrible weekend for Antonelli, his soon-to-be teammate. Our source details his struggles, from poor qualifying to his significant error during the race. It sounds like a baptism of fire, or perhaps just a very challenging period for a young talent facing immense pressure.
It certainly was. Antonelli's difficult race starkly underscores the immense pressure and steep learning curve for young drivers in Formula One, particularly when they are being fast-tracked into a top team like Mercedes. His entire weekend was plagued by problems. A poor qualifying session where he simply didn't find the pace.
Just couldn't look it up.
Nope. Then followed by a contact error with Charles Leclerc during the race, which earned him a 10-second penalty. To add insult to injury and compound his struggles, he then received an additional 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Oh dear. That's sloppy.
These types of errors, while perhaps understandable for a young driver in such a demanding environment, highlight the absolute need for precision, discipline, and flawless execution at this elite level. The source suggests perhaps it was a mistake to promote him to the main team so early, given these ongoing struggles.
Yeah, that's a big question.
This raises an important question for you, the listener. What are the fundamental pros and cons of fast-tracking young talent into the pinnacle of motorsport? While the potential pros include gaining invaluable experience very quickly and potentially uncovering a prodigy who can adapt instantly.
High risk, high reward.
Sort of, but the cons often involve exposure to intense, often crushing pressure, the risk of confidence being shattered by repeated struggles and errors, and ultimately the potential for burning out before they've had a chance to fully mature and gain that essential experience at a slightly lower tier. It's a high-stakes gamble that doesn't always pay off immediately, as Antonelli's weekend suggests.
And what about Ferrari, the other championship contender? Our source describes a weekend of missteps for both Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. It seems the Scuderia didn't quite have the magic this time around, and perhaps even made their own share of errors.
No, the magic certainly seemed to be absent for Ferrari, and it was a weekend that left many fans and likely the team itself feeling frustrated. Charles Leclerc's error, where he was involved in contact with Antonelli, certainly contributed to a challenging weekend for him, compounding issues and costing him valuable track position and potential points.
Not ideal.
Not at all. However, it was Lewis Hamilton's struggles that perhaps painted an even grimmer picture, especially given his pedigree. Our source describes a crucial miscalculation at turn 3 where, as those first drops of rain were falling, he opened up his steering too much, stepped onto the outside paint, and immediately lost control of the car.
Tricky conditions, though.
Very tricky, but ultimately a mistake. Despite appearing to save it initially from a full spin, he ultimately got stuck there, unable to recover, ending his race prematurely. This incident left his soul in tatters, as our source vividly put it, and he was observed speaking for a full 20 seconds to TV cameras after the race, visibly frustrated and attempting to articulate his disappointment.
You can see it.
The grim prospects for Ferrari as they look ahead to Monza, their cherished home race, are particularly telling. They arrive with no victories for the team this season, and Hamilton has yet to secure a single podium finish in what is his debut season with the prancing horse. The quote, "no miracles," is particularly poignant, suggesting a palpable lack of optimism and a resigned acceptance of their current performance limitations, even for their home ground, which is usually a place of fervent support and sky-high hopes.
Yeah, tough times for the Tifosi, maybe.
It paints a picture of a team and drivers grappling with the very real and often brutal reality of their current competitive standing.
Here's where it gets really interesting and a bit controversial, because our source dives deep into the penalties handed out during the race, specifically comparing Antonelli's incident with Carlos Sainz's. The source describes them receiving the same sanction, a 10-second penalty, and 2 super license points.
The exact same.
That seems to imply a fundamental lack of nuance in the stewarding process, almost like a one-size-fits-all approach, which our source metaphorically describes as soda, caballo, rey, literally Jack, Knight, King, suggesting a predetermined, inflexible decision-making process. What exactly is this critique saying about how F1 applies its rules, and why is it problematic?
Precisely. The phrase soda caballo rey from our source perfectly encapsulates this feeling of an inflexible, automatic application of rules by the stewards. It's like they're just ticking boxes, applying a standard penalty regardless of the intricate, complex, and often split-second realities of racing incidents.
Right, no room for gray areas.
Seemingly not. The problem, as our source sees it, isn't just in the application, but maybe in the overtaking guide itself, which is supposed to govern these situations. Let's take Carlos Sainz's incident with Liam Lawson. The stewards' ruling meticulously laid out their review. Video, telemetry, radio. They concluded car 55, Sainz, was attempting an outside overtake. His front axle was not ahead of car 30, Lawson, at the apex. Car 30 had the right to the curve, and therefore car 55 was predominantly at fault.
So it's a very technical interpretation of the rule book, rather than perhaps a broader look at the racing incident itself. Did they look at Lawson's part in it?
Exactly. And that's the fundamental critique here, directed at that overtaking guide itself. Our source argues that this guide, in its current rigid interpretation, effectively allows the car on the inside to send the other to Pernambuco, a colorful Spanish idiom, meaning to effectively send them to oblivion or out to sea if the attacking car on the outside isn't sufficiently ahead at a very specific point, the apex.
So the inside car can just squeeze them out,
Potentially, yeah. This black and white interpretation, our source contends, ignores the nuances of racing, the split-second decisions, the often unavoidable loss of control that can occur in high-speed, close-quarters battles, like Lawson's oversteer. It stifles genuine racing incident considerations and disproportionately punishes drivers who are pushing the limits, rather than allowing for judgment calls based on the full context of the move. It prioritizes a static rule over the dynamic reality of racing.
To really illustrate this point about the perceived inconsistency, our source recalls a past incident involving Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton in Hungary, where Verstappen was notably less penalized despite what sounds like a much more aggressive move. That comparison truly highlights the perceived double standard, doesn't it?
It really does.
But playing devil's advocate for a moment, could the stewards argue that each incident has unique circumstances, and trying to apply a blanket rule across vastly different scenarios would be equally unfair? Or is it truly the framework itself that's the problem?
That's a crucial and fair point about the complexity of stewarding, and it brings us to the heart of the frustration. While indeed every incident has unique circumstances, the issue, as our source sees it, is the inconsistency in the interpretive framework applied to those unique circumstances.
Okay.
The Max Verstappen-Lewis Hamilton Hungary incident, described by our source as Verstappen entering like an elephant in a china shop, was an aggressive, undeniable move. Yet in that specific instance, the stewards ruled that Hamilton could have done more to avoid the collision, resulting in a less severe penalty for Verstappen.
Right, putting some onus on Hamilton.
Exactly. Compare that directly to the SAINZ-Lawson ruling, where Lawson's loss of control, his oversteer from the outside paint, was seemingly overlooked or given less weight in the judgment of SAINZ's fault. This creates a deeply frustrating inconsistency for drivers, teams, and fans alike.
Yeah, you can see why they'd be upset.
If one driver is expected to do more to avoid in one incident, why isn't that same expectation, or at least a more holistic consideration of both drivers' actions and the race context, applied in another? It suggests a lack of a unified, flexible, interpretive framework where identical or similar actions can yield vastly different outcomes based on the specific, often rigid application of a rule rather than a holistic assessment of the racing context and driver actions. This kind of perceived inconsistency truly undermines confidence in the entire stewarding process, leading to widespread calls for reform and greater transparency.
It's clear that the severity of SAINZ's penalty is highlighted as excessive by our source, possibly being considered a race incident or at most 5 seconds, not 10, plus those critical super license points, which effectively ruined his race.
Absolutely ruined it.
That's a powerful point about the impact of these penalties, how a ruling can completely reshape a driver's race and points haul, pushing them down order as others climb. And speaking of frustration and the feeling of opportunities slipping away due to circumstances beyond a driver's control, our source highlights a recurring theme for Fernando Alonso this season, doesn't it?
Exactly. The source adamantly believes that SAINZ's penalty was excessive, arguing it should have been categorized as a race incident, where no single driver is predominantly at fault, or at most a 5-second penalty. The 10 seconds plus super license points was seen as a disproportionate punishment that effectively ended his chances for a strong points finish, ruining his strategy and leaving him with a mountain to climb.
And you see where Albon finished.
Right. This impact is glaring when you look at Alex Albon's strong performance, making a grand comeback from the start and navigating a turbulent race to finish 5th. Our source specifically points out that SAINZ could have potentially finished in that same position, highlighting the direct cost of the penalty to his championship hopes and the team's points tally.
And this brings us to Fernando Alonso's incomprehension and anger, which seems to be a recurring narrative for him and his team this season. What was the core of his frustration this time? It feels like we hear this a lot.
We do. His frustration stemmed from a seemingly endless series of unfortunate events and strategic missteps. He cited unlucky safety car timings that consistently undermined his race strategy, consistently bad strategy calls from his team that put him at a disadvantage, and the exasperating experience of getting caught in traffic, which in F1 means losing critical lap time.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Pretty much. Ultimately, he finished with points, but he felt they weren't genuinely earned through competitive driving, but rather a result of others' issues or retirements. He openly questioned why the strategies never seemed to work in his favor, asking for the team to agitate the tree, another vivid idiom meaning to shake things up, to actively seek out different approaches or make bolder moves to change their fortunes.
You feel for him sometimes.
This emotional response, this persistent feeling of being unfairly treated by circumstances or strategy, resonates deeply. It raises a significant question for you, the listener. How do these decisions by stewards, these moments of perceived injustice, and these consistent frustrations experienced by drivers impact not just their individual races and seasons, but the overall competitive integrity and entertainment value of the sport for you, the viewer?
Yeah, does it add drama or just frustration?
Exactly. Do these contentious calls and the resulting driver anger enhance or detract from the racing spectacle you tune in to watch?
Before we wrap up this deep dive, let's touch on some other notable moments from the race that might have been overshadowed by the drama, and then a look at what's on the horizon for Formula One. Our source mentions Oliver Biermann's impressive comeback from the pit lane with Haas, and Haas's successful one-stop strategy. It wasn't all gloom and penalties across the paddock, was it?
No, absolutely not. There were several bright spots and commendable performances further down the field that deserve recognition. Oliver Biermann's remontada, his comeback drive from the very back of the pit lane with Haas, was particularly impressive. It showcased not only his raw speed, but also his determination and ability to manage a chaotic race.
Good showing from him.
Definitely. And Haas's successful one-stop strategy with both of their cars, Biermann and Magnussen actually, finishing in the points, was a true masterclass in tire management and strategic execution. They were among the few teams who effectively executed a single-stop race, demonstrating astute decision-making from the pit wall and proving that thoughtful planning can yield significant results, even against bigger budgets.
Smart race from Haas.
Very. Our source points out that this success even gave clues to other teams who later tried to emulate their approach, highlighting its effectiveness. Additionally, Lance Stroll also had a strong comeback drive, climbing from the back of the grid into the points, further highlighting individual efforts that often go unnoticed amidst the top-tier drama.
The F1 calendar moves on swiftly, with upcoming races in Italy and Baku. Our source notes that these circuits should be particularly favorable for Williams, potentially allowing drivers like Alex Albon to continue their strong form. So there's still hope for some of these underdogs to make a real impact.
There is indeed, and that's what keeps the anticipation alive in F1. The upcoming races in Italy at the legendary Monza circuit and then in Baku, Azerbaijan, are seen as potentially very good tracks for Williams. These circuits often play to specific car characteristics, long straights, specific corner types, and for Williams, this could mean an opportunity for drivers like Alex Albon to continue their strong form and potentially score more valuable points, perhaps even challenging for higher positions if others falter.
Hope springs eternal.
Always. Looking ahead, our source expresses a universal hope for Lando Norris to regain his form and his psychological edge, which speaks to the desire for a truly competitive, multi-driver championship battle. There's also hope for Monza to be kinder to Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso, who have faced their share of frustrations this season, and for good things to finally come for Carlos Sainz, whose recent penalty was so keenly felt and debated.
Yeah, fingers crossed for them.
These aspirations highlight the ever-present optimism and anticipation that fuels F1, always looking to the next race for a change of fortune and a return to form for fan favorites.
But as we look forward to these upcoming races, we also bid a fond farewell to a classic. Our source ends with a lament for the Zandvoort circuit, describing it as old school, unforgiving, and something that will be missed as the calendar shifts. It's a sad farewell to a true piece of S1 history and a circuit that many drivers and fans deeply appreciated.
This point resonates deeply with the purists and traditionalists of the sport. The farewell to Zandvoort is indeed described as a pity because it's considered a classic and old-school circuit that truly challenges drivers in a unique way. Its unforgiving nature means there's little room for error. The close proximity of the gravel traps and barriers and the high-speed banked corners reward absolute precision, bravery, and a commitment that modern, wider circuits often don't demand.
Proper challenge.
Definitely. Our source notes that it gives play, meaning it encourages dynamic, exciting racing and will be truly missed as the F1 calendar increasingly shifts towards what are often described as more boring, more modern tracks.
Controversial.
Perhaps, but it's a sentiment many share. This reflection on the shifting landscape of Formula One circuits points to a broader concern within the sport, the evolving character of the racing itself. As new, often purpose-built venues with vast runoff areas and similar layouts emerge, there's a sense that some of the raw, challenging, and unique characteristics of older, more organic circuits are being lost. It raises a question about what kind of racing Formula One prioritizes for its future, the traditional tests of driver skill on historical layouts, or the more commercial modern venues that might be safer but perhaps less thrilling. So what we've seen today, from the intense intra-team battles that are defining McLaren's season, to the crucial and often controversial decisions by stewards that directly impact race outcomes, and the ever-present human element of triumph and frustration, exemplified by HADAR'S joy and Alonso's anger, truly underscores the multifaceted nature of Formula One. It's not just about raw speed and engineering marvels. It's about strategy, reliability, mental fortitude, human error, and sometimes just plain luck. Every twist and turn, every penalty, every unexpected podium paints a vivid picture of a sport that is as much about human drama as it is about technological advancement.
Absolutely. This deep dive into the recent Grand Prix from F1 blogs shows us that even when one battle seems decided, the human stories, the unexpected heroes, and the controversies continue to give us plenty to talk about. From the stark reality of Lando Norris's championship hopes hanging by a thread, contrasted with Piastri's unyielding consistency, to the very definition of fair play being scrutinized in the stewards' room. And let's not forget the sheer joy of HADAR'S breakthrough. This Grand Prix wasn't just a race. It was a microcosm of F1's ongoing drama, proving that the human element is as crucial as horsepower.
Well said.
As we head to Monza and Baku, the question isn't just who will win, but how these seismic shifts in momentum and the ongoing debate over the rules will fundamentally alter the narrative of the entire season. Will Norris find his fight again, or has Piastri truly cemented his claim? And how will the stewards' future decisions shape the salsa on track?
Big questions.
We encourage you to share your thoughts on these unfolding sagas in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss any of our future deep dives here on the F1 Blogs YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you feel a little more well-informed, perhaps a lot more curious about the fascinating world of F1. Until next time, keep those engines revving.